This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to our daily roundup. We have a packed show today covering major shifts in the global economy, the latest in tech rivalries, and how AI is changing the workforce and creative tools.
The Senate confirms Kevin Warsh as the new Fed chair.
Trump prioritizes nuclear goals over domestic financial pressures.
Uber takes public shots at its partner Waymo.
Claude Design challenges Canva in the AI design space.
Rachel Reeves warns against UK leadership instability.
Documentary filmmaking becomes the hottest new tech job.
A UBI program supports workers displaced by AI.
OpenAI and Anthropic battle with new coding freebies.
Starting with the Fed, the U.S. Senate has officially confirmed Kevin Warsh as the next chair of the Federal Reserve, marking a significant shift in the nation's economic leadership. The 54-45 vote was incredibly tight, largely splitting along party lines. Interestingly, Democratic Senator John Fetterman was the lone dissenter from his party, joining the Republican majority to approve the nomination. This vote stands as the most divisive confirmation for a Fed chair in history, surpassing the 2010 confirmation of Ben Bernanke. Warsh is set to take over on May 14th, when Jerome Powell's term ends. He steps into this role during a period of intense political pressure and economic uncertainty, with inflation currently sitting at 3.8%.
The political fallout from this confirmation is already quite vocal. Senator Elizabeth Warren has been particularly critical, suggesting that Warsh might act as a puppet for the Trump administration's desire to lower interest rates. On the other side, Senate Majority Leader John Thune dismissed these concerns as partisan obstructionism. While Warsh has echoed calls for lower rates, he still has to navigate the Fed's 12-member voting board, which prioritizes independence. Fetterman defended his vote by stating he believes Warsh will remain transparent and responsive to Congress. As the Fed determines the cost of borrowing for everyone, the stakes for this leadership transition couldn't be higher for American families and the global market alike.
Now to the White House. President Trump recently made some blunt comments regarding the economic impact of the ongoing conflict with Iran. He stated that the financial pressure on Americans, including rising fuel costs and high inflation, is not a motivating factor in his pursuit of a peace deal with Tehran. Instead, he emphasized that his sole focus is ensuring Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. This comes at a time when U.S. inflation has hit a 3-year high, largely driven by energy costs that have surged since military actions began in February. Gasoline prices are averaging over $4.50 a gallon, the highest in 4 years. Trump's remarks suggest a prioritization of national security over the immediate cost of living concerns of voters.
The administration's messaging on economic relief seems somewhat fragmented. While Energy Secretary Chris Wright has been hesitant to predict when fuel prices might drop, economic advisor Kevin Hassett has been more optimistic, suggesting relief could come before the upcoming midterm elections. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio suggested that Americans are still better off than those in other countries, suffering from the global economic strain. This disconnect between the White House's focus and the daily reality of rising food and utility bills is becoming a central theme of the election season. With airlines raising fares by 20% and global manufacturers passing costs to consumers, the economic ripples of the Iran conflict are being felt far beyond the borders of the Middle East.
Next, a tech partnership. The relationship between Uber and its robo-taxi partner, Waymo, appears to be getting a bit rocky. Recently, Uber executives have been making public comments that seem to undermine Waymo's business model. They've criticized autonomous vehicle-only operators, arguing that a hybrid approach, combining human drivers with automated ones, is more scalable and reliable. Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi has even suggested that robo-taxis are still far from meeting the ubiquity that customers expect. This is a delicate situation because Waymo is currently Uber's only partner providing fully autonomous, paid rides in the U.S. The tension seems to stem from Waymo expanding its services independently in several cities without using the Uber app, which directly challenges Uber's position as the primary platform for ride-hailing.
Uber is also framing this as a social equity issue. In a recent white paper, Uber warned of a two-tier transportation system where robotaxis only serve wealthy neighborhoods while ignoring areas like Oakland. By positioning themselves as the more equitable choice, Uber is trying to win over cities and labor groups who are skeptical of driverless fleets. They are essentially pitching themselves as the necessary arbiter between tech companies and the public. One Uber executive even went as far as sharing a video of a scary moment involving a Waymo vehicle to highlight reliability concerns. It's a classic corporate strategy, publicly supporting a partner while simultaneously highlighting their flaws to ensure your own platform remains the dominant force in the evolving transportation market.
Moving to AI tools, Anthropic has just launched Claude Design, a new tool powered by their Opus 4.7 model aimed at creating slide decks and marketing collateral. This move puts them in direct competition with established players like Canva. A recent head-to-head test compared how both platforms handled a photography workshop presentation. Canva's AI 2.0 was praised for its intuitive interface, asking for specific audience types and providing editable outlines before generating slides. It felt like an agentic platform that anticipated the user's needs. In contrast, Claude Design required more detailed prompting and coaching to get the desired results. While Claude's output was polished, the user experience felt more like working with a raw AI model rather than a specialized design tool that understands the nuances of visual storytelling.
The competition highlights a broader trend known as the SaaS-pocalypse, where AI threatens the business models of traditional software companies. Canva is fighting back by integrating its own AI features to remain the go-to platform for creators. One interesting feature of Claude Design is that its creations can be exported directly to Canva, suggesting a complex relationship where they are both rivals and collaborators. For users, the choice comes down to whether they want a tool that requires heavy guidance but offers high-level reasoning, or one that is purpose-built for design with a more streamlined workflow. As these AI models become more capable of generating visual work, the barrier to entry for professional-looking graphics continues to drop, forcing design platforms to innovate rapidly to stay relevant.
Shifting to UK news. In the UK, Chancellor Rachel Reeves is urging her colleagues to prioritize economic stability over internal leadership battles. This warning comes as the latest GDP figures show the UK economy grew by 0.6% in the first quarter, beating many forecasts. Reeves argues that the government's current economic plan is working and that the country is now in a stronger position to handle the costs associated with the war in Iran. She cautioned that plunging the country into political chaos by challenging Prime Minister Keir Starmer would risk undoing this progress. The Chancellor's comments are clearly aimed at silencing dissent within her own party, framing any leadership challenge as a direct threat to the nation's financial recovery and its ability to navigate global crises.
However, not everyone is convinced by these growth figures. Economists at ING have expressed skepticism, noting a recurring pattern where UK growth appears strong in the first quarter but flatlines later in the year. There are concerns that the Office for National Statistics might be struggling with seasonal adjustments, especially given the impact of high inflation on price hike timings. The ONS has acknowledged these concerns and is reassessing its approach, already lowering some previous growth estimates. While the headline figure of 0.6% looks good for the government, the underlying data suggests the recovery might be more fragile than it appears. This puts Reeves in a difficult position, trying to project confidence, while economists warn that the economic reality might be less rosy than the official reports suggest.
Now for tech careers. A surprising new trend is emerging in Silicon Valley, the rise of the corporate documentary filmmaker. Tech startups are increasingly hiring high-end filmmakers to create glossier, more humanized versions of their company stories. For example, the company behind the Lumi laundry folding robot recently released a 10-minute documentary about its founders, complete with a behind-the-scenes look at the making of that very film. These videos are designed to build authenticity and direct connections with customers, bypassing traditional media scrutiny. Founders are splurging on star treatment for themselves, hoping to stand out in a crowded market. It's a shift from traditional advertising toward high-gloss storytelling that feels more like a cinematic experience than a sales pitch, aiming to capture the company lore in real time.
This pivot to original video content is also driven by the rapid pace of AI development. Companies feel a desperate need to document their breakthroughs before they are eclipsed by the next big thing. Storytelling has become such a priority that some AI labs are offering communications roles with salaries reaching $500,000. Venture capital firms are also encouraging this, noting that in the current AI boom, documenting a company's history is essential for building a lasting brand. By sitting for long-form podcasts and producing their own documentaries, founders can control their narrative entirely. It's a move away from the old model of press releases and toward a world where every tech company is also its own media studio, fighting for attention in a sea of digital noise.
Next, a social experiment. Dean Gray, an entry-level software engineer, is sharing his experience as a participant in a new universal basic income program designed for workers displaced by AI. After completing a coding boot camp and struggling through a collapsed job market, Gray found that hundreds of applications led to nothing but silence. The program, run by AI Commons, provides a $1,000 monthly stipend along with mentorship and upskilling opportunities. For Gray, this support has been life-changing, providing a much-needed sense of hope and structure during a period of extreme professional uncertainty. He describes the experience as a social experiment for the AI era, highlighting how quickly the tech industry has changed and how difficult it has become for new talent to break in as companies pivot toward automation.
Gray's story reflects a broader anxiety among tech workers who feel the ladder of opportunity is being pulled up. He initially moved into tech for stability, but found that entry-level roles evaporated almost as soon as he finished his training. The UBI program isn't just about the money, it's about providing a safety net while workers retrain for a market that now demands different skills. This initiative serves as a pilot for how society might handle large-scale displacement caused by artificial intelligence. As more industries integrate AI, the need for these kinds of support systems may grow. For individuals like Gray, it's the difference between giving up on a career and having the resources to adapt to a rapidly shifting economic landscape where traditional paths to employment are no longer guaranteed.
Finally, the coding war. OpenAI and Anthropic are currently locked in a fierce competition to win over developers, recently launching a series of freebie offers for their coding tools. Within an hour of each other, both companies announced expanded access to their platforms. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman offered companies 2 months of free Codex usage, while Anthropic increased the weekly limits for Claude Code by 50%. This aggressive marketing is aimed at hooking users, especially high-spending corporate accounts, into their respective ecosystems. With both companies holding massive valuations, OpenAI at $840 billion and Anthropic at $800 billion, the pressure to lock in a loyal customer base is immense. They are essentially trying to out-freebie each other to become the primary tool for the next generation of software development.
The timing of these offers is particularly interesting given recent user feedback. Anthropic's latest model, Opus 4.7, faced some backlash for burning through tokens faster than previous versions, making it more expensive for heavy users. By increasing limits, Anthropic is directly addressing these cost concerns. Meanwhile, OpenAI is leveraging the reputation of Codex to attract new enterprise clients. Both companies realize that once a developer integrates a specific AI tool into their workflow, they are much less likely to switch to a competitor. This midweek flurry of announcements shows just how high the stakes are in the AI sector. It's not just about who has the best model, but who can provide the most accessible and cost-effective platform for the businesses building the future of tech.
That's our roundup for today. Thank you for joining us for this briefing on the day's top stories.
Be sure to follow us for your daily update on the news that matters. We will see you back here tomorrow.